Welcome to Porch Politics with the Equity Alliance co-founders and co-executive directors, Charlane Oliver and Tequila Johnson. Porch Politics is part of the Tennessee Holler Podcast Network. Learn more about them at tnholler.com or follow the Holler on social media at the TN Holler. You know, the world has always given Black people lemons, but the Equity Alliance is here to bring the sweet tea. Please note that the sentiments and statements shared are only those of the individuals voicing them and not of the Equity Alliance. Let's get into it.
Well, hey, cheers to another successful year. How's everybody doing out there? Welcome to Porch Politics with Tequila
and Charlane,
the co-founders and co-executive directors of the Equity Alliance.
That's what's up. Yes. So we're back for another episode. We, just came off a Thanksgiving holiday. I hope everyone's holiday was great. I know this has been a difficult year and we hadn't really been able to celebrate Thanksgiving like everyone wanted to, but I hope it was fruitful and restful for everybody. So
let's get right into it, Charlane.
Yes.
2020 has been one of the hardest, yet one of the most successful and amazing years that we've seen as an organization. We could not have done the things that we've done without you guys, our supporters, those who believe in us, the community, man. When we started the Equity Alliance, we started this for us. This is our alliance. This is about us. So it is just I'm so humbled and I'm so grateful to be able to share some of our successes this year with you. And we're not going to share it because, again, the Equity Alliance is about what? Building power. And how do we do that? Through leadership development. So we're going to bring on some of our team members, the people who were on the ground doing the work, so you can see and hear from them directly, right?
That's right. That's right. It's not just about, a lot of times you see me and Tequila out front, doing all the speaking engagements with the mic in our hands, but it's really about the team. Like, they make this organization run, and we are really just grateful for them. So we're just gonna get right into it and bring them on and share about their experiences. And being a statewide organization now is just a blessing, and we just couldn't do it without y'all.
We could not.
We just want to ride into 2021 with this success and build up the organization even stronger. So.
Yeah, let's get right into it. This year, not only did we've always kind of operated statewide, but this year we were intentional to make sure that we hire people who could be boots on the ground and build out alliances in those respective cities. So what all cities did we hire in? I'm on that team.
That's okay, I got you. So we did Knoxville. We had an organizer in Knoxville. Shout out to Alicia. Yes, Alicia Lewis. We had an organizer in Chattanooga. So shout out to Dennis Clark. We also had two organizers in Rutherford County, Lily Yates and Amber Akins. And then we had two organizers in Nashville, Janelle Christopher and Ray Carroll Woodard. Mm-hmm. And then we had West Tennessee. So we had Almeda Ellis. And then John Bradley out of Memphis.
And Sarita Alston in Jackson, Tennessee. So we had a rural program. We had a really, really great program. We had Tamika White. Let's not, pause for a minute, because I want to acknowledge my sister, Tamika White, who has been with us from the start. When we couldn't afford to pay anybody, when we only had $500 in the bank, we always knew we could call on Tamika. So for that, we have always love, supporting, and uplift Tamika White. So shout out to Tamika White. Love her, love her, love her. When you see her, just know that's the Equity Alliance. With her, you got Tamika.
She is the lifeblood of this organization. Just day one.
Our statewide volunteer coordinating volunteers from East Tennessee all the way to West Tennessee. Probably had a couple people in Mississippi too doing Tamika.
Right. So yes. Just overall great team. And then the folks behind the scenes, like Tori Griffin, who is our organizing director.
Shout out to Uncle Tori.
Yeah, one of our newest team members that hired this team. And then for those that don't know, Tiffany Provenzano, she is our operations manager.
Yes.
If you get an email from Tiffany, it's going to be on point. If you need something from Tiffany, if you need to schedule us, it's going to be on point. Like, she is the glue to keep this organization running.
Tiffany is the reason why my calendar has been booked for the last 3 days. But we love Tiffany.
We We love Tiffany. It's all good.
Yeah, we have some other people too, like our homeboy Big J in the house, Jason Luntz, man. That's my polititainment partner. Like, we bring the entertainment to politics. We make sure that it stays relevant, it stays relatable, and it stays real, baby. That's what it's about, baby. Man. If Big J ain't on your team, you lose it. You lose it. So let's go ahead and bring in the people who are on the line. So we're here having a staff retreat in Nashville. We got some awesome stuff going on for our team. We just wanted to kick it, celebrate, love on each other, have some COVID-friendly times. Everybody got the COVID test. We about to kick it, turn up, right?
That's right.
We got our Ciroc on deck. You know, we got the Uncle Nearest on chill. Got our wine. We ready to turn this thing up. So we have people who are still at home that'll be coming in tomorrow morning. And then we have some people who are on the road now that we may not be able to get on camera. Hopefully they can get here in time. But if not, it's all good because, you know, it's all love. So let's start with bringing in our Rutherford County organizer, and Amber also ran our Voter Protection Project, which was amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
Good evening.
Another one of our organizers who has been around from the beginning, at least since 2018. She helped with our first voter protection program for the midterms. She's volunteered in other capacities and has just leveled up through the organization. So we just, man, if you don't got Amber on your team, well, you can't. We got her. You can't. Can't go nowhere ever.
I'm not. I'm here.
We've always been intentional about building a team, and every year people come plug them out. But hey,
we know how to scout.
We know how to pick them, baby. So Amber, tell us, how was it? Like, just give us a little bit of background about what you did for the Equity Alliance, and tell us how it was.
Okay, and I will say, go back to Tamika. She did have one in Mississippi because my friend that came to the event lived in Olive Branch, so on the I Black and I Vote tour. So
right across the bridge.
Exactly. So yeah, as they said, I started, trying to register voters in 2018. So really, I came back because I love the way the Equity Alliance, operates, and I knew this year for this election, protecting our democracy was going to be extremely important. So so I guess I'll just start with that, is that we had a lot of excitement in our program. People were there for each other. We wanted to rally around each other. I mean, Davidson County really showed up, especially, for Rutherford County. As you guys know, I live here now, and we're really trying to build political power here. So I'm just excited. Let me know if I didn't answer your specific question, but we have excellent partners in this area. So we were able to prepare people, PPE, masks, everyone was in place and ready to go. And we were just prepared to make sure people stayed in line. We had a lot of partnerships with local organizations, making sure food was on there so you could, eat and not get out of line at every location. So yeah, it was really exciting. So Shelby County, Madison, Rutherford, and Davidson.
So can you just go back and just tell a little bit about yourself, and for those that don't know?
Oh, okay. So yeah, I moved to Murfreesboro. I'm from Alabama. Long story. I came up 75, up 85. So long story, from Alabama, moved here and in 2016. And I'm married. My husband's born and raised in Murfreesboro. I knew I'd always come back here, but I didn't know when, because we were living in Atlanta at the time, but we started having children. And then when I got here, I was like, oh, it's not so bad. It's still a lot going on. So that's where I've been. Backgrounds in technology, a little bit of consulting, just a fancy title for, I know a little bit about like phones and things like that. Let's just put it like that. So, HBCU graduate. So of course, when it's about the Equity Alliance, I mean, we were born and bred to work for our community. So I might have been in corporate for a while, but now I've got a little bit of not-for-profit for our community here. So I went to Tuskegee University. And that's a little bit about me.
So how did you first learn about Equity Alliance, and what has it been like working?
You know what? We actually, I don't think I ever told y'all this, but we had a group of people in Rutherford County in 18, and we were trying to start a little something, just like y'all were doing. And then somebody just paused. We didn't get far. It was like, wait a minute. This organization, they're already doing it. We don't need to reinvent anything. And again, this was early on, but we are people are watching Equity Alliance in other counties. So that's kind of how it started. So yeah, that's kind of like my journey in, and yeah.
Yeah, so before we bring in the next our next person, I wanted to ask you one last question. Do you have any stories from your work doing the electoral protection program for the Equity Alliance? One, tell us a little bit, just give the people a little splash about what election protection is. And if you have one quick story to share about an instance where you had to utilize the election protection process.
Absolutely. So election protection is all about making sure people are safe, confident, and able to vote, that are eligible to vote on the day of voting. So essentially, every time we had tickets that came in on election day, that is not the time to challenge somebody's voter registration status if they have their everything in place. So that's what election protection is. Protecting our democracy, no voter suppression, no, and then voter education as well, because of course we had the voter guide we passed out. So that's what election protection is. And a story. It wasn't even one of our target cities for election protection, but the good thing about the Equity Alliance, we already had the infrastructure in place to support a Hamilton County voter. So because of that, so a story would be someone that has voted for years, paid felony conviction fines, and had a voter registration, voted in August of 2020 and was purged. And the letter said he was purged in April of 2020. And then it got to the polls and they said, "You've been purged, sir." And of course, this is a major election. So long story short, we were able to put him in contact with a legal attorney. We're working through the process to get the paperwork together. I personally will be in contact with him to make sure this does not change his voting perspective, because he is a dedicated voter for many, many years. So I would say that is the story of and it happened during early voting, which is another reason why early voting is not just on election day. We push early voting here at the Equity Alliance. So we were able to catch that early and try to rectify it as soon as we could.
Got you. And thank you for just all you did for this election. We knew going in that, we had misinformation, disinformation campaigns happening, and propaganda flying across social media, and there were even threats of like white supremacist groups coming in and threatening violence and protests. And thankfully, there were no litigation issues that we had to raise up. So I think that's a big success for the program.
Yeah. So thank you so much. We are looking forward to continuing to grow the Rutherford County Alliance. And just really, keep pushing that power and building that power. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure. It continue to be a pleasure.
Yes, it is.
Love you to death, babes.
Love y'all too.
All right. So next, we want to bring in Alicia Lewis. She is our Knoxville organizer, and she was great.
She is one of our babies, one of our young organizers who, just having that perspective. Be represented. And one of the things that we are intentional about doing as a Black organization is giving people the autonomy to make decisions and build out their own programs in their own respective cities, because Alicia and everybody that organized for us, they are the experts in their county. We're not here to come in and tell you what your county needs. We're here to come and uplift what you tell us your county needs. Right. And so Alicia took that charge and she ran with it. This baby was out there at fundraising for her events. She had a budget and she was still fundraising for her
sponsorships.
like handing out diapers, handing out formula, doing whatever she needed to do to make sure she took care of her people and got them to the polls. So without any further ado, let me pass the mic to Alicia.
Hey y'all, so sorry that I can't be there right now at the retreat, but definitely miss y'all. Definitely had an absolute blast this past election cycle, and I'm already ready to gear up and do it again, to be honest. Like, I'm looking at the next election. I'm like, listen, where can we plug in with Knoxville for TEA? We've got elections coming up, and I'm just so excited to start getting the ball rolling already for 2021. So a little bit about Knoxville. Knoxville born and raised. Actually, I'm a UT graduate, December 2019 UTK graduate. So fresh out of college, when Tori actually contacted me, asking if I wanted to organize, and I was like, yeah, of course I do. And then I cried the rest of the day because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I have worked campaigns before, volunteered with campaigns, but never in a capacity, where I just got to take the reins and really, really, truly build out an entire program myself. And that has been an amazing experience. And it was a plus that everybody looked like me. Everybody knew the struggles that I faced here in Knoxville and across the state of Tennessee. Everybody knows what it is to be a strong Black man or woman, but especially in the case of our co-executive directors, to be a Black woman and to have to take the reins, even though you're doubted sometimes and things like that, and just push through and know that you know exactly what you're doing. So yeah, I've had a ball. Like I'm ready to do it again.
Yay! So just give us a little splash about some of the things that you did in Knoxville. I mean, I know it's too many to remember. Like, even when I try to write down, I try to like put our receipts out there, like what all we did. I go back every day. I'm like, oh, I forgot about this. We did so much this cycle. We did so much this year, but we did so much this election cycle, and we did it out of our hearts. We did it with our souls. So it was not something that we did to boast or to brag, but you know, our ancestors didn't get this far for us to be too timid about our power. So I want you to brag on yourself a little bit, sis.
Yeah. So here in Knoxville, of course, we had my biggest the thing I'm most proud of, I guess, is going to be our poll party that we had on October the 17th as a part of the statewide poll parties. That was an amazing experience. We went through a lot for that poll party. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was supposed to be a march, and then some things happened, so we couldn't march to the polls. The day before, one of my food trucks dropped out. It was like a lot of things happened, and I was just calling around. I was so concerned that it wasn't going to happen. And my biggest concern was that the community that I had built around the Equity Alliance was going to be disappointed, because the way I really tried to approach this organizing experience is really just community building, because the Equity Alliance was a new organization in Knoxville. And I really wanted it to be not just an organization that pops up during election time, but something that people can really rally around and can really feel like they're a part of, because like we've all been saying, we are a part of the team. And so it was my responsibility to really get people acclimated and bring people on and make them feel like we really were there for them, because we are. And so the poll party, it ended up being a success. We had people come out from apartment complexes around. We actually had people that we met down at the polls that were like, hey, I've been following y'all. And I had never spoken to these people before. And so it was amazing to me to know that people were following us on Facebook. And they were like, yeah, I know what the Equity Alliance is. I saw y'all online. And like, I've watched Porch Politics. And so to be able to bring in community leaders and members, and to bring in some upcoming organizers and activists from University of Tennessee, and to bring in some of the sororities and fraternities, it really was just an amazing experience that day. I had people calling me, I kid you not, at 7:00 that morning, and were like, hey, what time are we supposed to meet you at the park? And I was just like, y'all, I haven't slept. I was just trying to get 15 minutes in, but to see that excitement from the community just really geared me up even more. One of the biggest, I would say, successes I had, I've been talking to a particular voter since before the August election. So since I started training with the Equity Alliance, and she was like determined that she was not going to vote, because nothing ever changes for the Black community when we vote. And so just really been talking to her, and I got her registered to vote on October the 5th, on the very last day of voter registration for the November election. And when I got to talking to her, it was, and her points were valid. She was just saying, we get out, we vote, all these things. I watched my mom and my grandmother vote. We still live in the projects. I've watched my family vote. We still can't pay our light bills. We still have jobs. Like, we still can't feed and diaper our babies and things like that. And so that really got my wheels to spinning. And she trusted me enough to register to vote. And the election did turn out in the way that she was hoping. And so, just to be able to build that momentum and say, hey, like, you're a first time voter. You're 19 years old. Like, you are, people tell me like my generation is the difference. Which, I guess I'm still part of that generation, but to see someone who was even younger than me, that has even longer to make a difference, to turn out and to vote. And she was so excited, and she took her kids with her. She's got two toddlers. She took them with her. She was like, I want them to see that even if things don't turn out the way that I want them to, like, I'm doing this for them. So that got me to thinking. And so from that conversation, I actually decided to kind of do a little bit of extra after election. And I am planning for a diaper drive on December the 19th here in Knoxville. And it's coming together really well. We've got some sponsors who are donating diapers, donating manpower. Of course, due to COVID, it's going to be a drive-through event, and we're making it as safe as possible for our community. But just something to let our community know that we are here for you past the election. Like, we are here to make sure that your everyday life is the best that it can be, because everybody, regardless of your socioeconomic status, your skin color, like, I don't care if you have to stand in line for canned goods for the next 5 years, like, you deserve to have a life, and you deserve to have a life with dignity. Like, you are not a homeless person, or like, you're not a homeless person, you're not needy, you're just a person who is in need. And I was raised by a single mom, and so a lot of the things that I got were from free school supply drives and things like that. But my mama raised me, to know that I don't care where you come from, like, the sky's the limit. At this point, your vice president looks like you. And like, there was nothing that I could not do. So it's very important to me and my city to make sure that everybody knows that, listen, I will go to war, I will go to hell and jail for this community, because our community deserves better.
Man, you preaching, Alicia.
I know. You that's what I'm talking about. That's what it's about right there.
Exactly what it's about.
The youth is gonna save us.
Yes.
Well, Alicia, I tell you all the time, you are an amazing woman. You are an amazing organizer. You have an amazing spirit and a very genuine heart. And so it's been an honor and a pleasure to watch you grow and evolve, and watch you take your power and step into your light and let that light shine without fear, without questioning, and with confidence. So with that being said, happy holidays, sis. When you get here, make sure you call me. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. We love you. And yeah, we're just looking forward to that diaper drive, boo.
Yes. I can't wait for it to, I know it's going to be big. I can't wait for it to turn out. And I know people are, going to really rock with the Equity Alliance for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, girl.
Thank y'all.
Woo, the youth gonna save us, y'all. I'm telling you, I'm gonna
be all right.
We're gonna be all right.
Be all right.
So who are we bringing in next? She done took the. I almost started crying. I was like, oh God.
And that is the talent that we have in Tennessee. That, like, we sleep on this talent that is
on Black
in
people.
Tennessee, Black people, Black leadership that we need to bet on. Like, I'm just excited that she chose to work with us. And
yeah, I mean, for me, it's never been about people who have the most experience. It's never been about people who've done this the longest or who are the best at doing this. Like, those people are good, and we need them in this space, but they're good for a reason. They're good because someone saw something in them, and they gave them an opportunity to learn and to practice that trait and that skill. And that's what we're about at the Equity Alliance. We are about finding people and giving them the opportunity.
Taking risks, taking bold risks on people who are shut out of traditional opportunities and giving them that autonomy to lead. And that's about how we expand the electorate, how we expand and bring more people into this civic process, is by showing them and putting the resources in their hand to lead and shape their own future. So
absolutely. So let's bring up some more of our staff. Who are we going to bring on next, Charlane? We have some people here in the room with us. So if you hear people talking loud, that's because they're in the room with us.
Yes.
Instead of going upstairs, they're going to come walking hard on the floor messing up our podcast.
Right. It's supposed to be a podcast recording. They talking in the background. See, they just, you can tell they don't be watching. They don't be watching.
They don't subscribe to the Porch Politics YouTube. They don't follow the holler.
Yes, follow the holler, y'all.
Follow the holler. What's up? Shout out to Justin, Cassie. What's up? Tennessee holler this thing, baby.
Yes.
All right. So yeah,
we're gonna bring on our organizers here, Tori and Ray Carroll.
Yes. So we are going to bring on Tori Griffin, our esteemed organizing director, and Mrs. Ray Carroll.
Come on to the porch, Ray Carroll. Yeah.
Come on, Ray.
Come on, man, to the porch.
Ray Carroll has served in so many capacities this year. She started as the Don't Sell Out North coordinator.
Yes.
And then from there, she started working with Our Fair Share. She worked with the Tennessee Black Voting Project as the rural organizer.
And she did the health equity program with Tennessee Justice Center. So, like, Ray Carroll's just one of those, like, even though it's jack of all trades, she does everything well. So I just have to commend you for just always saying, you know what, we need you, and you just always say yes. And I thank you for that. You are like the heart of this organization. See, that's what we need right here.
Some heart and soul, baby.
Yes.
All right, so let's dive into it. Let's start with Miss Tori over here. Tori, tell us a little bit about you. Tell the people about you.
So I'm a son of Tennessee. I'm a native from Knoxville. So Alicia just made my heart.
You can't even say that,
Like a proud papa.
Oh, I'm so proud. Yeah, I'm from Knoxville, and I got really lucky in college. I went to Morehouse. To sing opera. I'm supposed to be an opera singer, but I got really lucky and landed a White House internship under President Clinton and switched my major to poli-sci, and I've never looked back. I had a great childhood growing up. And I always believed that I was supposed to be here to make the world better than when I found it. And that's why I do what I do. The Bible says to whom much is given, much is required. And I've been given more than my fair share. And so, giving back was, it wasn't an option. This is what I wanted to do. And so I've been blessed and fortunate that I've been able to be in spaces where no one looked like me. I was either the only person who looked like me or I was the youngest. And so going down the line, equity line, so before I came on board, I was working for the NAACP in Atlanta. I was working for the National Association on Environmental Justice and Climate Change. And that's one of those issues that's, again, I get lucky because I get to do issues it's not sexy, it's not, folks don't really think about it, but it's the issues that really impact us and affect us.
That's right.
And environmental racism and injustice, and you have people who live near coal plants, and they live near, places that, like Flint, Michigan, that was the most egregious case of environmental racism. Folks don't think like that doesn't impact Black folks. It does. And so
you ran for office.
And then I ran for office. I went back to Knoxville, ran for Knox County Commission. As far as I know, I'm the first Black person to run countywide. I didn't think I needed to run in a majority Black district. I wanted to run for the entire county. And I'm proud to say that I got more votes in Knox County than Phil Bredesen did, or what's the guy who ran for governor? What's his name?
Claudine.
I got more votes than either of them in Knox County.
Well, they should have been working with you, Tori.
I know.
Y'all better holler at Tori next time y'all spend all that money.
I'm telling you, hashtag Black Folks Matter.
And so LaShawn Oliver and I, we kept in touch. We talked and we had conversations, and then I came to Nashville for my birthday. I turned 39 this year. And before I knew it, I was moving from Atlanta to Nashville to come work for the Equity Alliance. Don't regret it, not one bit. Number one, my mom was happy because I'm 2 hours away from home.
Yeah. Of course.
And then two, then, you know, being in Georgia, like, yeah, Georgia's great, don't get me wrong. But I always felt like I was meant to be in Tennessee because there was always work that needed to be done here.
Right.
And y'all mentioned that about that talent that's here is the fact that people who do this work like me, we always have to leave Tennessee because opportunities aren't here. And the fact that the opportunity fell in my lap where I could come home and I could work with people who look like me. And so that was one of the joys of working for the NOSCP was the fact that everybody was black. And to leave that, to come to here, it was the same kind of, there was no really change. It was the department I worked in was Black woman led. My mom's a single mom, so I had no problem listening and taking direction from Black women. And the thing for me was the fact that I knew that Black folks needed to be heard in the state. I felt there was a disconnect in this state, and that folks weren't listening. And Equity Alliance provided that space for people to be heard. And it wasn't people who do this work, you know, the elite. It wasn't that kind of work.
It's everybody, the elite,
everybody.
The street, hello.
And I kind of get pissed that we always, you know, when we talk about, you know, Black leadership, we always look at, and I'll be honest, we always look at people who look like me or people who are like me. I'm the person you don't need to talk to. You don't need to reach out to me. You don't need to organize me. This is what I do. This is my life.
You're already engaged.
Yeah, so you need to talk to folks who are at the barbershop, and people who are on the corner, who go to the pool house, who, you know, who,
Everyday people.
everyday folks who aren't, you know, this isn't their wheelhouses,
Aren't
whatever.
tweeting about it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but they still care that their kids have a quality education, they live in safe neighborhoods, that they have well-paying jobs. I mean, the shit that we all care about.
Exactly.
There's no classism around that. We all want better.
We all pretty much want the same thing.
So
Let's talk to
Ray.
Ray. Tell us how you got here, Ray.
Wow. What were you doing before that?
So, starting from the bottom, y'all. That's what you want to say. Starting from the bottom. So, we could start from good old Springfield, Tennessee, of course. I always have to rep that because I love my home. And just like Alicia said, I was living there, and you don't see folks that they don't look like you around the square. And folks that look like me, folks that look like us, they would, especially in my city, factory jobs it was disappointing. Like you couldn't get a good front desk job, and it pissed me off when I was working for our chamber. So that's why I started from the bottom. So working for our chamber in Robertson County, toot toot. It was a bittersweet experience because it taught me some things. It taught me how not to be, but also it taught me how to treat folks. And it taught me more. It woke me up to see that, hey, it's bigger than, I say this all the time because this is my slogan. I need a t-shirt. It's bigger than me, and it's bigger than us, and it's bigger than this, because I didn't want the next generation under me to have to suffer and not to get jobs and not to be seen as Black folks in Robertson County. We have power too. And so from the chamber, I was already going in and out of law school trying to get there. And so I was just a broken person, and started working at our bank. Then I went from there working at Ace Hardware. I was working at a hardware store, y'all, with paint, nails, and I can't tell you what a screw and a bolt is still to this day. But let me tell you, I was a manager though. I was the baddest one up there. I was the baddest one. When I tell you they love me, because it was always bigger than me. I was passionate. It wasn't about the job. It was about helping the people there. It was about healing the people out. If you came into ACE, it wasn't about the nut and the bolt. How can I help your heart? How can I heal your mind? How can I change you from when you came in here? Because you might have came in here broken, but you came through my line, and guess what? I'm gonna give you a smile. And that was just Ray Carroll. And so from there, somehow I ended up in Nashville because I always wanted to be in politics, and I just always wanted to get in there. And they did it to my mama, y'all. That's what happened. My mama ran for school board in Robertson County, and I was her campaign manager because I'm her baby. And what happened was, y'all, she came 10 votes.
Wow.
10 votes out of the election. And no runoff, no nothing. Instead, you just give it to the person because she's the incumbent. And because she's white. And she had the money. And so, I'm sorry, I don't like her. Because Tiffany is, when I tell y'all Tiffany, I ride or die, and Tiffany takes care of our team. And so I don't see Tiffany as none of these oppressors that tried to oppress in my city. And when I tell you they oppress, but they try to oppress you not just spiritually but mentally. And when you try to oppress a group of people, and if you come to my city or if you've ever been there, then you'll notice that wow, the black folks deserve better, and they're trying. It's like they're always trying to scrape for better, but they just couldn't get there. And so then I just decided, you know what, Ray Carroll gonna do something about this, and I don't know how I'm gonna do it, Lord, but you put my feet in the right path, and you get me there. And I might not can heal the world because I don't want to heal the world. You didn't call me to do that, but I do want to change my community. I want them to see the hope, and if you can see the hope in me, then I know you can have some hope for yourself. So that's why
y'all some preachers, man.
Minister Ray Carroll.
I
know we had all these pastors on the team. It started from the bottom because I had to work at the hardware store to be humbled. I had to work at the bank, and for those high society rich men to call me Gail, and for me to sit there and bite my tongue and take it. I had to go through that. I had to work at the chamber where they said, well, you're cute to be a black girl. But you can dress it up to be better. I had to go through that because I did that because there's some young girls. There's some young girls that's younger than me. There's some young boys that are younger than me in my city. There's some older folks in my city that they just want hope, and they want better, and they deserve it. And when I tell you, it hurts, but it's sickening. But then let me tell you, let's fast forward. I kind of skip a lot because I got a whole lot, but when I fast forward and tell you what happened with the Equity Alliance in 2020 in my community, they ain't never heard of no Equity Alliance before in their life. They ain't never heard of organizing. All they knew was Ray Carroll was trying to get them to fill out their census. That is all. And she bought this ice cream truck through this city and gave out free ice cream to everybody. And so that was the biggest. So wait a minute, they giving out free ice cream? Y'all can afford to get free ice cream and pay for the ice cream truck? No, I got a friend. They got a deal. They got us to drove the ice cream truck. It was the best thing. It was the best thing in the world, all because of the Equity Alliance. And when I tell you, those folks in my community, we raised, when our voting went from 0 to 35% increase because we didn't have black folks voting. But then they had a power, not just through the census. Well, okay, Ray Carroll came through with the census. Now Ray Carroll's coming through. I need you to fill out this survey because our fair share. You might not live in Nashville, but I need you to fill out this survey for our fair share. I need you to make these phone calls for me because we gotta flip Tennessee. We gotta make sure that black folks get out there. Have you voted? Are you registered? When I tell you I was punching the community. And I hate to cuss, but I gotta tell you, I was on their ass because it was always bigger than me, and it was always bigger than this. I wanted them to feel the power and be empowered enough to understand that you got the power to do all this. Ray Carroll I'm nothing, but you got the power to do it. I just boosted your ego. I just boosted your morale. I just boosted you. I just showed you how to do it.
Y'all just blessing my spirit. The power
on this team, y'all.
These are the people in our community that is speaking life in our community into people.
Make sure y'all go take that pledge because it's important. Like just like Ray Carroll, Charlane started at the chamber.
I did.
So,
Simple
Williamson
story.
County Chamber.
Simple child. I got stories for days. We got time for that.
I nipped mine in the bud.
But could you imagine with equitable investment, how many opportunities like this one we could create? Hey, so one of our board members just walked in.
Right.
We're in the middle of recording. Could you imagine how many opportunities we could create? I mean, just hearing them, I had to put a pin in that because what they did in Georgia was amazing. And people say Stacey Abrams, but I'm here to tell you, it just like people say Charlane, Tequila, it wasn't just Stacey, it was insane.
Yeah.
It was Jessica Bird.
Yeah.
It was Natasha Brown. It was the countless women that are working at the polls, putting their life on the line to make sure people can vote. It was the people going through the communities, knocking on doors. It was the activists that were in the streets getting people riled up and getting people to pay attention to the system. It was a team effort.
Yeah.
And so, we can be Georgia. We can be that. We can be that. We have to believe.
And I add this one caveat, and this is what I always think, that when my ancestors built this country from the ground up, I'm dumb enough to believe that they built it for me too.
Right. Hello.
That's why I do what I do. I didn't want to see all the white boys have a lot of money.
Okay, because I'm here to tell you, I met Ray Carroll working as the state director on a presidential campaign in the primary. And as far as we were able to find out, I was the first Black woman to lead a presidential campaign in the state of Tennessee. That is a problem.
Yeah.
Donna Brazile, that is the only person that led beyond the primary.
That's true.
And then you have Maya. And so that is important, as Tori said, we got to infiltrate this entire space. Not just through voter registration, not just through knocking on doors, talking to Black people. We can do digital, we can do data, we can do comms, we can do legal.
I know so many dope Black lawyers, man. Man, we are so talented.
Yeah,
talented.
The thing about it is the fact that you have folks who do data, you have folks who do organizing, you have folks who do political, they do the entertainment piece, they do the legal piece. I mean, Black folks really can, in the state of Tennessee, run a whole operation.
It's about just access to opportunity.
Yeah, and giving people the chance to do it.
And
that's why I'm so thankful for Charlane and Tequila for taking me on and giving me the chance, because I can still be at the NCP doing environmental justice. It's awesome. It's great. But
then you get to be just
when I get
biggity
But when I get this chance to come home and be black, but also this chance that this organizing work is not sexy. I think people see some of it.
Yeah.
But it's the phone calling, it's the texting.
Run the numbers I know you want. What's your drink, Tori?
Text messages, all of that.
Tori is so classy. He has made his own Manhattan sexted and everything. So bear with us.
I'm so proud of our organizers. We made over 120,000 calls. This was really a phone bank operation, because people forget we were in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
So we couldn't knock on doors. We couldn't do the events that we did. Even though we were in a pandemic and did the events, I'd say we did over
at least 50 events.
Yeah, we did about 50 events statewide. Texts, we sent about 50,000 texts. Give or take a few. So I think we reached out to almost
We even had a door knocking campaign.
We made about 3,000 door knocks at the last minute.
In 3 days.
3 days GOTV.
The 3 days leading up to election day.
We did door knocks and about 3,000 knocks.
Yeah.
And so I mean, that's the non-sexy piece of the politics. And our organizers, they knocked it out. They did the work. It was not fun. It was grunt work, because when you do the phone call and you get wrong numbers, you get hangups, you get cussed out. I got cussed out once. I was like, yes.
You ain't get angry. You ain't get a phone bank if you ain't got cussed out.
If you've never been cussed out on a phone bank, you're not doing it right.
Right.
But the calls are important, and also it's the fact that organizers got to be, and the fact that we were talking to only Black people. That was the most important part. We talked to Hispanic folks, but the majority of it was we were talking to Black folks. And that was important to me, the fact that we were the only organization in the state that were reaching out to Black people. And when I
in an organizing capacity.
yeah, when I look at the numbers of all the races that were targeted races, nobody was a blowout.
Mm-mm.
You had people who lost by maybe 2,000 votes, but
less than 500.
in Gabby Salinas' case, it was less than 500.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference that's gonna get us over that hump is that the behind the scenes work, being on the phone, text banking, door knocking.
Yeah.
Yes, Gabby Salinas lost by 458 votes.
Yeah, small margin.
What's on?
A small margin. The election before that, she lost by 1,000. So the margin is closing. So if she were to run again in 2022, who knows? She might even just win. But it's gonna take
But then the thing is, we
gonna take
can't.
both of these.
Yeah,
Relationship building
relationship,
and organizing.
but we can't wait until 2022 to do it. Like,
Take that relationship.
we
won't wait.
Yeah, I've got friends
They
in
need to
Ohio that
really
are talking
right
about this. Where Democrats kind of screw up is the fact that we wait until the year of, and it's like we've got to do a year-round campaign. We've got to do year-round organizing.
Yeah.
It has to be, and then you build those relationships with people, and then it can't be just the last 3 weeks of campaign. We got to do it forever.
It is. Come on.
yeah. So what'd you say?
Election protection work.
you make it look sexy.
Oh yeah.
It's only sexy
especially with the bad
Ever made election protection sexy.
Yeah, so before we wrap up, I do want to highlight, like, this is what the organizing with the Equity Alliance looks like. It looks like technical touring. And it looks like, relationship Ray Carroll.
Yes, Ray Carroll, before we go though, I want you to just share some stories that you did. Tornado relief, you did COVID relief, you did our fair share. Just, can you talk about, like, I had a friend who reached out to me who needed help, financial help, because he lost his job and everything. He called me and was like, Ray Carroll, where is Ray Carroll? I want to volunteer because Ray Carroll, it was just Ray Carroll. And he had never been in politics before, but because of you, like, I don't know what you did,
And he
had
phone calls, he texts. When I tell you, he was on it. He put the app we had. He worked that app better than our organizers did. But it's relationship building, and it's just relationships. Working with, it was definitely COVID-19 that, like, when I met Charlane, because I had already known Tequila, but when I met Charlane and she explained to me what I needed to do and meet people where they are, but the first thing you need to do is check on folks. I said, so you got to tell me, check on folks. And so when I would, if they sent an email or if they sent a text message for a request or they needed assistance, as soon as I called them, the first thing I would say was, how are you? It wasn't what do you need? What's going on? I was like, how are you? How are things? And I would say their name. Hey, Brenda. Hey, Paula. Hey, Miss Julia. How are you? And one lady finally said, and she was one of my favorites because, y'all, she went through so much because she was afraid to go out because she was sick. She was an elderly lady and she was afraid to go out because of COVID, and she didn't want to get sick. So it was a scary thing for her. And she said, and the issue was that she was going to get put out of her project, and that wasn't fair. And we swooped in there. She was able to stay in her project, but also we helped her with assistance. And that woman, all she said was, thank you because you returned my call. And she cried because I returned her call, because nobody had ever returned her call. And I said, I almost cried because I said, is that all it takes? I said, but I want to help you too. She said, you want to help me? And she started crying again. She said, because I just thought you were just going to return my call and then maybe you'll get back with me. No, it was more than that. It was helping people and it was healing their hearts, because people, you don't know who was going to make it through that pandemic. But I didn't want to lose anybody on our watch. Not at all. So,
wow.
It's wow.
Y'all are gonna bring me to say, let me pull a little bit of this real second. But yeah, that's when I think about the organizing model that Charlane and I developed together. It is relationship Ray Carroll and it's technical touring. And that's and the reason why our organizing model works as well as it does is because we're able to combine this notion of direct assistance or taking care of our people with this intentionality that comes with political organizing.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've never seen done anywhere else in the world. And I've traveled the world training other people. I came back from Africa, Ghana, and Nigeria, training people on this relationship model.
And then,
as Teresa said, this is the Lord's work. This work is dripping in the blessings and the anointment of our ancestors.
Yes.
So I'm just blessed to be here. I'm pulling up. I really want to pull up this cookout on the floor. Like, pour the libations, but I ain't gonna do it. I'm just gonna pour in this cup.
all right, so we're gonna transition. Thank y'all.
Thank you, guys.
Love y'all.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you. Get to know these people. So next, coming to the porch is Jason Luntz, the late Jason Luntz,
Big J,
and
Don't
Tiffany
Play, Jersey
Provenzano.
Home.
Oh, me?
Tiffany.
Yes.
Um,
Calm
This-
down.
Where your nice phone?
Hey, have a seat.
Hey, hey guys.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm just so proud of this 12 I got.
What you drinking?
Oh,
Drinking, Jay.
I'm drinking a whiskey, but because nobody paid me, I won't say who it is. But I appreciate y'all. That's
Yes, always libations on the porch.
Always on the porch. Pour a little bit out.
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. I've been trying to be on this for a minute. I mean, I think I was trying to be on this before you even had the show. Like 3 years ago, I was like, y'all got a show coming? Can I be?
I'm glad we can feel your drink.
Oh, this has been my dream. Porch Politics.
What you want to talk about, Jay?
Okay, I got something to say. No, actually, I appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
And talk about that opportunity. What were you doing for the Equity Alliance?
So I actually got a call from my great friend Tequila, who I always bow down to. I appreciate her as the Nubian queen she is, and you as well. And no, actually, she just said that they wanted to really do some great get out the vote events during this election season. And me and her had worked together. We had the opportunity to work on a presidential campaign. Yes, presidential. We just want to point that out. It was pretty big. And we had the opportunity to work together, and she thought that I could be the guy to help them with their events. So we had a plan where our goal was one thing. We wanted to go where the voters were. So, and I think it was even mentioned earlier, Tori even said it. Technical Tori said, you know, you don't have to focus on us. Don't focus on me. I'm voting, and I know how to vote. But we have to find people that need reasons to vote. And that was what our process was. So we traveled this whole state during a pandemic, but our own health at risk because we knew this election was the most important election of our lives.
Yeah.
And we always hear that, but this one really was. And we had to show that even though Tennessee, it was very doubtful that we could win and become blue, but we know we had to show them that we are out here and our voices need to be heard.
Yeah. So you planned this whole tour, the I'm Black and I Vote tour. It was dope.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That tour. I was thinking about all the stuff we did this year, and I'm like, we just did. We had what, 8 issue campaigns?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We literally did panel discussions. We did mixers, happy hours. We were always very intentional to make sure that it was COVID compliant and safe. So we never went overboard because we knew that it was a pandemic, but we did need to reach the voters. Yeah. So we had great events in Knoxville. We did do Knoxville. We didn't make it to Knoxville, but our organizers did. As you spoke to one of our organizers earlier, Chattanooga, Memphis.
Man,
wow. Memphis was crazy. And I just want to shout out Memphis. That is the backbone of this Democrat Party. Well, are we nonpartisan? Can I say that?
You can say that. We're both.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, me personally, this is my opinion. I'm a Democrat and I'm proud of it. Memphis is the stronghold of Democrats in this state. We did a lot out there. And even in Nashville, oh man.
Yeah.
It was an amazing experience.
Yeah. And you said something, we were coming back from Memphis on the bus, and you said something that we didn't realize until in that moment, wow. And what did you say?
So we actually rented a bus, and it was a bunch of us in there, and we were enjoying ourselves, fellowshipping, but knowing the seriousness of this mission.
We were turned up.
Okay. It was a lot of traffic. All right. If we had been in Dallas, we might have been twerking on the table. I'm gonna keep it real. That's how he was. But we was really out there, and it hit me at a moment that, 50 years ago, we could have been murdered for this. 50 years ago, people did the same thing, traveled, and they were the freedom riders, and some freedom riders were dragged out there. I'm getting chills thinking about it, but I'm being honest. They were dragged out those buses and killed. And so it's a blessing that we have come further, that we are safe, but I still don't know how safe we really are, because it still could happen.
Yeah.
It still could have happened.
Especially when you had Trump, talking about when the looting starts, the shooting starts.
The looting starts, shooting starts.
Stand down and stand by.
Proud Boys. I mean, so it was still a risk, but it just.
The bus was strapped too, though. You know what I'm
Yeah.
We was. I was like, I'm a Jersey kid, and I was like, these Southerners don't play with the strap. But seriously though, when I said it, it did hit me though that people died for this, and people can still die for it. So what we're doing, what you guys are doing, the Equity Alliance, it's powerful and it's amazing, and it's not pretentious. It's not like looking down at people. It's being real and saying voting is important. And our communities are important. So I'm just proud that I had the opportunity to be a part of it. Thank you.
Glad you were.
Miss Tiffany.
Yes.
So right here, like, sorry, Tiffany. Tiffany is our one non-black girl.
And it's always so strange because she's never, at least, because you can usually tell because you won't turn red. But she usually never displays that she's uncomfortable.
No.
Right?
She recognizes what it means to work for Black leaders, and she supports us, she listens to us, she empowers us, we empower her. I mean, it is an amazing experience. And then aside from just the race thing, she's the shit.
She is dope.
Hell yeah.
You can't have her either.
We gave away our whole team from the Black Belt Project. I went to the hood and found people, okay?
Listen, Tiffany would call me and be like, look, I just got this discount on these laptops. I talk them down. But like, Tiffany would get a discount in a minute. Yeah, Tiffany she would be like,
hey, hold on, I'm on the phone with Warner Music.
Yeah.
They need to give us some money.
Right. She be like, we ain't paying for that. We're not paying for that. You need to take the taxes off. Like, it'd be like,
and I'd be like, Tiffany, you just bust up on them like this.
she is perfect on her own.
She
You see that privilege. It's easier for me to tell them you got to give us a discount and explain all the reasons why, and they're not going to get as sassy with me,
Yeah.
I recognize that. Yeah, it's true.
Y'all better not pay us on our operation.
So Tiffany, tell us how you came to know about the Equity Alliance, and then you got promoted since too.
Yeah.
So just talk about that.
Yeah. So I moved down to Tennessee a couple years ago, from New York City. I was living up in Brooklyn for 10 years, lived in Miami for 4 years, but originally from Oklahoma. So originally from the red areas, but had lived in blue areas for a little bit. And once I came down here, I quickly recognized that here, I'd done volunteering on campaigns and stuff before, but I recognized that down here, my work could have much more of an impact because there was the potential to flip some seats and really feel like it made more of a difference here. And I come from a music industry background, just doing marketing for a long time in the music industry, and had always done this work as a volunteer capacity. And then I kind of realized that especially after the election and just seeing, frankly, how many white women voted the other way, recognizing that there was more to be done and more time that needs to be put in. And so then I had just looked up a bunch of organizations in Nashville that were doing work that I believed in, that I could volunteer with and donate to, found the Equity Alliance, had just donated, joined their email list, was looking at stuff, and then went to one of their events. They had Desmond Meade down here talking about rights restoration work, and I just knew that this was a good organization. They posted, follow the socials and join their newsletter, but they posted that they were looking just for an admin work, and I was you know what, I had quit my full-time job in the corporate world, and I was I'm down to work. It was part-time, and I was I'm down to do it. So I joined part-time doing admin work with them just to
You know,
help.
day one, it was the tornado.
And the tornado had just happened,
Yes.
so we were having a big community event. Hundreds
That was
of
a great
people were signing people in.
Yeah.
That was day one. The first few weeks, I'm truly working out of Charlane's house, just at her table, as we're figuring everything out. And it was just hit the ground running. And I just like knew that this was going to be the good organization. And then as things got busier, we started growing the team. Then I continued to grow and like moved on to more an operations role to help. Because we are, for lack of a better, we are a startup. We are like, we are growing. I was the first employee hired, and now we're a team of some you've met and more that are coming. That we're a big team now, and so it's a lot of like trying to get the processes in place and what can we do to help. How can I help them run their organization most efficiently? So I'm down to run our organization most efficiently. So I'm down to like be in the background, making sure that all this happens, so that we can have the biggest impact on Tennessee, which we have the proof and of the impact we did have this year. And I'm excited for these coming years to continue to grow on the work that we've done so far.
Where's Tamika?
I would have.
She doesn't feel
well.
Yeah.
I did want to say,
Shout out to Tamika.
yeah, Tamika.
Feel better.
What I want to say about Tiffany was this time I was working with you guys, like having her definitely made a huge difference. I've worked with a lot of organizations, but you made a huge difference because it was always the collaboration and always being on point, and that's what's important. But I think that it starts from the top up, and both of you have that vision, and I think that you're both very good at presenting that to people that are working with you.
So tell me this, you guys, how does it feel to work for an all-Black organization? Like, I know what it feels like to me, but what does it feel like to you? Like, I think about, you was like, we was listening to trap music. We were on the way to Memphis, and I'm like, y'all, we got to get in Memphis mode. We about to put on some Yo Gottis and play a fly. Like, we're on the way to Memphis. We're not listening to Erykah Badu. I love Erykah Badu, but we're about to listen to A-Ball and JG.
I snuck a little Erykah Badu in there. He was looking at me like, come on, I get two and some chili from Philly. Well, to answer your question, like for me, my opportunity, if people don't know, I own a web design and social media marketing firm. For majority of people I work with are African American. So for me, I enjoyed it because that's the space that I like to work in. Mm-hmm. I like working with Black people because I can be me and I don't have to code switch or put on airs. Mm-hmm. Only time I code switch is on the phone, and then when I show up, they be like, "Oh, he is Black." Something's going on there.
So, Tiffany, how did you guys and Jason? How did you feel? I'll come back to you. How did you feel about the events? Like, when you think of, because we worked together on campaigns where it was like, we worked on a couple campaigns together now, where it was like campaign related. But then when we moved into the Equity Alliance, we got on our entertainment stuff. How did that feel? Real relatable. How did that feel?
To me, it felt great because we were able to entertain people. The entertainment is that unique trademark that quick. Something came up with, but it's actually a great idea because we have these events that are fun, they're laid back, but you're learning so much and you're understanding why voting is important, why understanding what's going on in this political realm is important. And to me, it felt good. It felt like home. It felt like, damn, I would turn around and be like, yo, I'm really kicking it. But I just had the deepest conversation with like 20 people in a row, but was having a blast. Smoking hookah, being real, smoking hookah, having drinks, taking shots, like really kicking it. And I've worked on a few campaigns in the past, and I know how stuffy the political realm can be because everyone has to protect their image. People can be very judgmental, right? But in this scenario, we're not actually politicians, so we can be ourselves, and that's what drew people to us. And I believe that a lot of people in this state voted because of our events.
We know they did.
We know they did.
So what about you, Tiffany? Like, how does it feel like being, because you're from Brooklyn, you live in Brooklyn, so you lived in Brooklyn. But how does it feel being in the deep red South, working for two Black women, and like you see a lot of the crazy stuff we deal with. You see our calendars, You see our speaking engagements. You see how hard we work behind the scenes to raise money. Me and you working together on out there sharing, like just managing net ops. You working with Charlane on Don't Sell Out North like that at the table, like.
Yeah, I think
Don't
it
tell
feels.
business.
Yeah.
TPC's long. Like she's just like air traffic control, just like.
Yeah, I think that though that's like what makes it more clear that like I believe in this work and I know that what we are doing is impactful because I am seeing just how hard everyone is working like with our events, like Jason was saying, that like even if we don't have a ton of people because of COVID and all that, but we're making an impact and like Ray Carroll is talking to every person and we know that we are connecting with people and meeting them where they are. And yeah, just seeing all the behind the scenes. I know like how many phone calls that they got to have to make sure that this stuff runs, you know, like how busy their calendars are and, you know, got kids, you know, school, no one's like in person right now. Like it is hard and we are still making this work, you know? And so it is, I think, you know, to your point of like coming to like a red state, I think it makes me more inspired, honestly, like more, you want to hustle more because you know that like it just takes like flipping a couple more seats in our state legislature to get rid of the supermajority. And then that is like something, you know, and like looking at the attainable goals that we're going to keep building towards, you know, and I know that we can do it. I think, as you guys mentioned earlier, that like Georgia was like the proof that like we can do this, you know, and that this work that we're going to be putting into it behind the scenes, to Tori's point of like over the next couple of years before the next elections, like that's going to keep building towards our overall goals. So I think it's good. Yeah.
So one last question, looking at 2021, what do y'all want to see? What do y'all hope to see and want to tackle and hope we work on in 2021?
2021, I would love to see the Equity Alliance focusing on finding a way, actually to Tiffany's point, to continue to chip away at this supermajority. I think that really focusing on finding candidates that can actually win, that's important. And I also think really making people realize, here's the one thing, and this might be controversial, but if you want to have any kind of progressive platform in the South, in these deep red states, you got to go black. And that's it. You gotta go black. You Doug went on controversial. Well, it's true. Well, it is. You're right. You can't. Not to us, it's not. But
I always believe that.
You always believe that. Black votes are what's gonna win an election, particularly in the South, because you can't put up, you know, white men that may win in Michigan or win in Massachusetts or win in Jersey, where I'm from. You gotta put up black people because black people are the only ones voting Democrat here, and some hipsters here and there. That's it. So you got to really be real. So what I would like to see is us working together to find candidates, judges, even Metro Council, like local, statewide. I want us to really see candidates that can start to chip away from the supermajority because you can't have a supermajority. Not it's crazy. So that's what I want to see.
Yeah. So we know that the next election is coming up. Chattanooga has mayoral races and some council races coming up in March. But the big election is the midterm 2022. We got DA races, district attorneys that are on the ballot. The governor, Bill Lee, is on the ballot. So that work starts right now. It starts right now. So
can I hop in? Just to bring in one.
Make it quick.
Yes. I'm just gonna say this one thing. So the NAACP did a federal lawsuit against the state of Tennessee because they make it difficult for ex-offenders to get their rights restored. That's one thing I'm passionate about, to make sure that ex-offenders get their rights restored immediately. As soon as you are released, you shouldn't have to go through red tape. You shouldn't have to go through the bullshit. You should automatically, once you serve your time, you should be able to vote. And so I'm happy there's a federal lawsuit on the books right now that is working on that, and hopefully Equity Alliance, that'll be one of our projects next year. We do work with people who are restoring it, but hopefully this lawsuit will make the effort easy. And so, that's my.
And I think that's important too, to even talk about like all this stuff, like that we are doing besides just registering people to vote and all that, that we do have, we have a fellowship of like formerly incarcerated guys that we're working on rights restoration, and that is gonna be one of our big focuses.
And they'll be on Porch Politics
Next
on the
episode.
17th.
Yeah.
December 17th.
And I think also like Rick Harrell did some work in healthcare, like rural healthcare, and like I think that is also a huge thing. I know Tennessee's been trying for a while to get the Medicaid expansion, but I think, healthcare and just like having equity there is big. And I just know that, we are already doing work in a lot of these areas that people might not even be aware of. And I think that like one of the things I'd like for us to focus on is now, because it isn't an election, we could still work to like register people all throughout the year, but because there's no census and no election, we got to focus a lot on our rights restoration and a lot of the other work that we have been doing this year but haven't been able to, showcase as much. And so I think,
Amen. And the first election, Lord, the election is haunting me. The January podcast, because a lot, that's why I love our team, because we're connected. A lot of the things that you guys said, Charlane and I've been listening to you guys over the year. We've been intentionally asking you these questions because these are the things that we know we already knew what you guys wanted to do. So in January, we're going to roll out our plan.
Yeah.
So be ready.
We got some big
Popping.
We always got ideas. We got big shit popping 2020.
All
All right, y'all. Thank y'all for coming out to the porch. What else we need to plug?
No, we need to
Your husband had a question, Charlane.
Well, let's go ahead and Tiffany, we love you. Jason, we love you.
Thank you.
I don't want to end without asking our behind the scenes, Reba. Our Porch Politics producer.
Come on in, show your face.
Show your face. I hope you look.
There you go. Curls popping, baby.
Yes, Reba. I had to bring you in because you've been our Porch Politics producer, the person who introduces us, that lovely voice that you hear coming in. That's all Reba. Our social media game, that's Reba. Those newsletters we get. That's Reba, baby. Reba Fever. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Reba.
Oh goodness. Well, I really just I moved to Nashville in 2017, and within about 3-4 months of moving here, I heard about what the Equity Alliance was doing. They were showing a documentary about the Great White Hoax, and from attending that event and just seeing the amazing things that y'all were doing, I'm like, okay, this is where I need to plug in. And so I've been a part of the team, volunteering and doing various things, getting kicked out of places for registering people to vote, to, marching down major streets in Nashville with the organization because I believe in the work and I support it. So I'm all in for the Equity Alliance. But just personally, I've been working in communications for over 20 years. So it was an honor and a pleasure to be able to add my professional side into my passion side in working with you all.
Well, we thank you. All those newsletters, you guys, all the amazing newsletters that we sent out this year to Reba, that's all her. Our social media posts, that's all her. Like, just all around, just dope ass Black women. So thank you to Reba for
Porch Politics producer. Yes, thank you, sis. We love you so much.
All right, let's cheers to, ending it out. Woo, that's a rock. It's over. I got to end this podcast, y'all. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get up hell up off this podcast.
Woo, hello, get on the porch.
Yes. So, without further ado, we're going to sign off. Cheers. Thanks for watching. Tune in on Monday. We'll have the replay on iTunes and Spotify. And shout out to the Tennessee Holler for this podcast.
Follow the holler, baby.
Follow the holler. Peace.
Woo-hoo.